Hello guys, welcome to MahdiGiboLifeAbroad channel. Sure, it is almost inevitable that whenever you have scheduled for a visa interview and the date is coming closer and closer, you always feel like the world is on your shoulder. Okay, it's difficult, it's a difficult moment. So in this video, I'm going to give you general tips, the things maybe you should focus on. Or should I say, this video is for those of us who have gotten our partial scholarship or fully funded scholarship or whatever situation we are, and now we are thinking of finding dates to apply for a visa interview to come to US or go to Canada. Okay. But basically, let's just focus on US because US you have to present yourself to do the interview. Okay. So I'm just going to give you tips, general tips regarding the F-1 visa interview. What are the things you should do to put yourself up there? Okay. The first and foremost, okay, is your DS-160. Of course, if you have been within the process, you know what it means. Now, I really want to emphasize on you filling the DS-160 yourself because, as it's always, yes, some of us are so afraid that we don't want to make any mistakes. So we find people for them to do us the application of filling the DS-160 form. But basically, one thing again some of us do forget is that the DS-160 is that document that the visa officer will use basically to cross-check, checking whether what you have written on that DS-160 aligns with what you are going to say. So they might see something you have filled after scanning through your DS-160 and they ask you a question. Then if you are not the one who filled in the DS-160 and if you are not abreast with the information, you tend to put yourself in a funny situation. And that's like almost like a red button for you already. Okay, so you may want to fill in your DS-160. I know it's difficult, and so many people have made videos on how to fill the DS-160, and definitely I will be an exception. Okay, an exception to that. I will have to do that. Unfortunately, at this moment, I have not done that. So there are many videos on YouTube that you may want to look at on how to fill in the DS-160, and you just follow the procedure. You will be nice. You'll be good. Okay. You just follow the procedure and you'll be okay. So it is very important that you fill in your DS-160. There are certain things that you may not want to make any mistakes on, okay, on your DS-160. So it is important that you fill in your DS-160, know your DS-160 very, very well. Now, the second thing is that do your research very well, be it because of finance, because of your school, or regarding your finance, regarding your school, regarding anything that pertains, that relates to your situation going to that visa. Don't assume that you have had enough, okay? And that doesn't mean you should panic. I know it's inevitable. People get panic. It's normal, okay, to feel heavy. But here brings us the to the next thing, which is, and this is the most important one, I guess. You have to feel that you are going to have a conversation with someone who has seen your document and now is interested to know about your case. And now he's interested to know you. But the person wants to hear you talking. So it's basically a conversation you are going to have. The more you assume that you are going to have a conversation with someone whom you have not met, the better it's going to be for you to be able to compose yourself and speak exactly your situation. Speak exactly what is in your mind. So I would encourage you, even I know it's difficult, but try to put it in that context that I am going to speak with someone, I'm going to have a conversation. We are going to dialogue. Okay? The better you have that in your mind. Don't assume it's an interview. Yeah, I know, of course, it's more like questions and answer. At the end of the day, They are just going to throw questions at you and you will be answering the questions. But assume that's the conversation you are going to have with someone. You want to explain to them. You want them to know you better. And not assume that my life depends on this. If I don't get this one, I'm going to die. You're not going to die. There is always another opportunity. There is always another time for you to try. Okay? So relax and assume that you are going to have a conversation. Funnily enough, I have been part of this. Yes, I feel that trepidation going to that door, entering that door. But once the VO officer asked me the first question and I was able to answer that, every other thing else settles down. Okay? Because it's more like a conversation. You're having a conversation with someone. So just be polite, respectful, and state your fact. Okay? You know your answers already, and you don't need to cram them. Just know that I'm going to start from this point. And for this particular question, I'm going to end here. That means if you have time. Okay? Now, the other thing, yes, a visa office, the visa interview is a dialogue process. However, that does not mean, or yes, you should not take or bring along all the necessary documents. Okay, so that brings us to the other part of the general tips. Make sure you take all the necessary documents regarding your situation to that visa interview. Yes, of course, it's not a document interview, meaning that you are not just going to present document to a visa officer or consular. You are going to have a conversation. But be sure that when you state something and the VO officer may want to prove that whether what you have said is true, they may want to ask for documentation. And here comes in you having all the necessary documents you have to provide to the VO officer. Okay, so imagine you said you have this amount of bank statement and they ask you, you can't present that. That's just like a red flag now. You are done. Okay, so you may want to have all the necessary documents. Now, the other thing which I have seen from other YouTubers, from even past VO officer, visa officers, saying that some would say short answers and long answers. Now, in as much as I agree with some, both the two sides, those who say long answers and those who say short answers, here is my here is my opinion regarding that. It all depends on the VO. Okay, if the VO wants you to say more, they will give you time to talk. But the most important thing, always start by stating the most important things, because you may not have more time to say more than what you wanted to say or more than what you want to say. Okay, so always start by saying the most important things in your visa interview. Okay, now, how do I mean when I say it all depends on the VO? Some visa officers will ask you questions randomly, like a quick fire. They will just ask you, and once you start saying things, they will ask you again. In such situation, you can't do anything about it. You just have to let it be. But there are certain VO officers, visa officers, okay, that will ask you a question and they will give you time. They will just be typing. So in that situation, you may want to, of course, present the most important thing, but make sure you have something to keep the conversation going. Okay, so in that situation, make sure you have something to keep the conversation going, because you don't want to sound so boring. Like they ask you a question and the VO officer will be the visa officer. I'm just being repetitive here. Okay, guys. So the VO may be typing something, maybe after asking you the first question or whatsoever. You don't want to just stand there as if you are nobody. You may want to keep the conversation going. Okay, you may want to keep the conversation going. So this is where it is important that you have something at the back of your mind. Okay, you may have to think off your feet. Okay, now the other important thing I want you to know is that when it comes to finance, when it comes to money, please always state the right amount. Don't approximate. My dad has around or makes around $500,000. Let's just say, okay, or 10 million, or whatever the amount. Don't approximate. Say these numbers as if you were there. Okay, I mean, like, you are in the situation, you know exactly what is happening. So state the fact. Okay, if your dad, even if your dad is not even earning, let's say, $20,000 per year, if that's the amount you want to state that. And when it comes to money again, don't lower your voice. That's again another problem. But this is again, I think, goes for those of us that are going with student loans. Like when they ask you, how do you fund your education, or after stating that you got partial scholarship, then it comes down to you having to state the amount that you've taken from Empower or whatsoever source of loan. I mean, source of funding. You tend to lower your voice, so you are already putting yourself in a very bad situation, because it shows that you are not even confident. You know exactly that there are some you have taken is so much that you are even afraid to say them loudly. Okay, so just be confident. If it's $120,000, state it. Just, and your voice, just maintain your voice level. If you have been saying things normal, when it comes to your finance, say them normal. Okay, and so, guys, these are just some of the basic things I just wanted to um, discuss on this video. Now, the next part of this video, I am going to show you how to respond to questions about funding when you have a third party doing that for you. It can be your parents, it can be your uncle, it can be your aunt. Any one of these, I consider them as a third party. Now, that will be the next video, and from which we are going to look at how to respond if you have taken a loan. Then the last one, when you have a fully funded scholarship. See you guys in my next video. Bye bye. Until we meet again.